listeners. This is This, That, and the Other. I'm your host, Magic, and we're joined today by BRAD052, who's been a member since August of '08. He has a .684 winning percentage, and he is fairly new to the game, having won 351 games, 9 conference championships, and is still chasing that initial national championship. So, Brad, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, Magic. Thank you for having me today, buddy.
Oh, my pleasure. So you know how the format is, and we start the thing off by saying welcome, and then it's on you. Who are you? Where are you from? Family situation? How did you choose your user ID, and anything else you'd like to share with us?
Sure. So I am 38 years old. I am a teacher. I teach social studies and English. Currently live just south of downtown Atlanta. I live in Clayton County or Jonesboro, Georgia. I am married. I do not have any kids other than fur babies. I have several dogs, including a 160-pound Great Dane. So he's bigger than most small children are anyway. My username came from, it's actually my nickname. My real name is Brad, and then my nickname came from a movie called Malibu's Most Wanted.
I knew it.
So a lot of my friends growing up said I was crazy like him because I played football and baseball, and I'm actually a football and baseball coach now at my school. And they said I was crazy like him and I would do most anything on a dare. So that's where my name came from, and then the 52 is actually my football number from school.
All right, well, let's get on into this then. How did you find out about the What If Sports website?
I was just bored at home one day and just started Google searching like online games, and that came up back when, What If was more popular than I guess it is now. So I signed up and I've played, of course I've always football coached, so I'm like, well, this could help me get better with, game planning offenses and defenses. So I signed up, and I also play in the baseball fantasy as well.
All right. Question number 2. Do you look to run all your teams the same way, or do you run each one differently?
Yeah, I only have one team left at the moment. I have Memphis. But yes, I run all my teams pretty much the same way, depending on what level I'm at. I'm at D1 now, and I've changed that up, and I've gotten, more depth into the game planning of it, especially on the offensive side of the ball, as far as setting up, number 1, number 2 receivers and the percentages. But I pretty much set up my game plan the same way, no matter what world I'm in.
Now, you mentioned just having the one team right now, but what do you look for when you're applying to a new team if you were going to add another one?
Yeah, I'm trying to get into the Wilkes thing where I can play with the great coaches and learn a lot from them. So I look for a team that I like the struggle of a rebuild, a team that hasn't been, has been semi-AI for numerous seasons, and I love taking it over and starting from scratch. To me, that's a real good challenge, to take one over from scratch and then get it into the playoffs. Yeah.
Well, other than the national championship, maybe.
Yeah, well, I haven't made it that far yet. If I would have hung around, I probably would have made it with my Emporia State team. But I left back many seasons ago when all that collusion and stuff was going on. I got frustrated and quit, and then I've just recently came back.
Well, that's going to do it for our first segment. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
I remember when my grandfather gave me my first candy, a worthless original. It stuck to the roof of my mouth, so I pried it off with a flathead screwdriver. But it flew through the air, and wouldn't you know, it landed in the toilet. Well, being just a wee tyke, I didn't know any better, so I fished that worthless original out of the crapper and popped it right back in my mouth. It still tasted delicious. Hours later, the candy stuck fast to my fingers like rubber cement. Then I had an itch on my pee-pee, and it stuck there too. Well, then the family dog became interested in the worthless original candy and began to lick it. When Mother saw what was going on, what with the dog and all, she threw a bucket of scalding hot water on us to separate us. It worked, but the shock of that hot water made the dog clamp down on me. And, well, I've been worthless ever since, if you know what I mean.
Worthless original candies, creating lasting emotional scars since 1895.
dump your bags and take a load off, because at Incontinental, we're anal about safety.
In the event cabin odor becomes overwhelming, methane gas masks will drop from the ceiling. Please note the colostomy bag in the pocket of the seat in front of you and your seat cushion doubles as a hemorrhoid pillow. Thank you for flying Incontinental.
Incontinental Airlines.
And welcome back, listeners. We're being joined today by Brad, BRAD052. And this question is, what aspect of Gridiron Dynasty do you feel is your best? Where do you excel?
I think I'm really good at offensive game planning. I can normally ensure that I can score on most anybody. Back before Mojo and I used to have a little rivalry going on, and he used to bet that I couldn't score on him. Now, he'd still demolish me, but I'd make sure I'd put up points and keep it close.
Not even win, just win the bet.
Yeah, exactly. Because I knew I had no chance with competing with some of those teams he used to have, but he would bet that he would blank me, and I would always make sure that, nope, you're not going to blank me. I'm going to score.
On your recruiting summary page, how do you set up those 5 priority areas?
Yeah, I kind of do like some of the other coaches in the saying have said. I use the colors, and I guess I maybe do it reverse, but I use red to indicate the ones that are the high priority for me, the ones that I want to make sure I have green and that I really want to, that I'm focusing on. For example, I always try to make sure I get in red shirt a quarterback. So I use it in reverse order. Red are the ones that I need to make sure I have, and then the green ones are the ones that I'm using as backups. And then I use it, and then I go from, I like to work, I think potential means a lot, more than I think some coaches rely on it. So I also use that as, the ones, I also use the yellow sort of as, the ones that have very high potential, but I may have to have a battle to get them.
I got you. Yeah, you're right. Some coaches don't value potential very high. Others think it's very important. So, and personally, I think it differs based on what level you're at. At Division 1A, where a lot of the top quality players are scattered throughout the recruiting positions, you've got so many talented players that are basically at the same level that the edge may go to that guy that has that higher potential or that bit of higher work ethic that may not be very positive for your team today, but 2-3 years down the road, that's the player that's going to make a big difference. So I'm in the same boat with you. I value potential quite a bit. Exactly. Now,
especially with me being at D1A now, is that I found that, that little bit with all other things being on the even par, you get that little extra potential, and then, come their junior or senior year, that, you're sitting with, high 90s player as compared to somebody else that basically started with the same stats, but they're in, mid 80s where you're getting that extra bump.
Now, how do you keep track of your team? Do you use a spreadsheet or some other type of software, or are you like a lot of guys that just rely on the old pen and paper?
I use pen and paper, to be honest. I'm actually old school. I hold a master's in 2 masters in history, so I prefer pen and paper when it comes to doing it down. That way I can track it myself.
Interesting. If you didn't have your current real-life job, what would you see yourself doing?
Well, I've actually changed professions. I started off as a historian, and I worked for the National Park Service. And then back when the economy died down, they offered an early retirement for all of us that had only been there for a few years. So I took that, and then I became a teacher. It was kind of funny. My one of my lifelong friends, we went to school together, and he's been a teacher, and I've always helped him, helped him with his football program and stuff. So when I was sitting at the house, he's like, well, why don't you come make it official and join my staff? So that's kind of a roundabout way about how I became a teacher.
So you're doing it for real.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That'll work. We're going to go ahead and hit our break at this point and come back and join us.
Children out of control? Is it wine o'clock yet? Then why not try out wine goggles? Wine goggles improve the performance of even the most mediocre supermarket Chardonnay or Merlot. Wear them while you drink and make everything look that little bit better. Available from all good opticians and some bad ones too. Warning: this product may not improve your eyesight. Not recommended as part of a calorie-controlled diet. Do not operate heavy machinery while wearing wine goggles.
Hello, amigo. I'm Chiquita Banana, and I've come to say bananas have to ripen in a certain way, and when they're flecked with brown and have a golden hue, bananas taste the best and are the best for you. You can put them in a salad, you can put them in a pie, any way you want to eat them. It's impossible to beat them, but bananas like the climate of the very, very tropical equator. So you should never put bananas in the refrigerator. To have bananas that are fully ripe, you must be absolutely sure to take them home and let them ripen at indoor temperature.
Oh, sure.
And welcome back, listeners. B-Rad joins us today. And his question in this segment, what qualities do you look for in a pass coverage linebacker?
Oh, wow. Yeah, so I run a 4-3. I know a lot of people don't like the 4-3, don't run the 4-3, but I prefer it. To me, it gives me an overall base, and I can have more of a rotation on my my defensive line and my linebacking course. So on one for the outside linebackers, for me, I look for speed and athleticism more so than tackling when it comes to that, because I want them to be able to cover and hang with those teams that run the strong tight end, that have a really good tight end. So I want the speed and the athleticism to be high when it comes to that.
How do you determine who your outside linebackers are, and is there a difference for your run defense versus your pass defense?
Yes, there is. And I set it up that way, using my game plan. On teams that are heavy pass or in passing downs, I put my ones with the highest speed and athleticism as my outside linebackers and move those ones with the higher strength and higher tackling into the middle.
And what are thoughts on blitzing then? Who do you blitz? When do you blitz them, etc.?
Yeah, I generally blitz. I like to blitz my linebacker 3, and then I like to blitz my strong safety, are the two that I generally send on blitzes. And I like to blitz. I normally blitz. I'm like a 60-40 split between blitz and not blitz in my formations.
And do you see a difference when a linebacker blitzes versus a safety as far as sacks or run stops? Which one gives you the best run stop?
This year it's been my outside linebacker. He's had the most sacks on my team this year. I think and then the year before that it was my strong safety. So I don't know if there's any real data on it. The data that I've done with pen and paper just basically says whoever has the best overall stats or statistics as far as that goes. Because last year my safety actually led my team in sacks, and this year it's been my outside linebacker.
Well, how about roll us 10 numbers?
Sure. Okay, let's start out with number 2. Then let's do number 5, number 12, number 52, of course. And then we'll reverse that and do 25, 100, 6, 8, number 13, and number 1.
Brad, thank you so much for joining us today. And before we go, it's your opportunity to share your thoughts with us. The floor is yours.
Yeah, I really like that the updates have been coming to the game. That's why I came back when I came on the boards and I got up and I started reading and some of the differences. And then, like I said, I left during all that collusion phase and all the going on the boards and stuff. That made me really upset, so I left. And I'm glad to see a lot of that has died down, and I'm also glad to see that some of the guys that I played with before, for example, Mojo, are still around and still kicking it. So it's nice to see that, and I'm loving that you're doing this, Magic. It's a great opportunity to listen and learn from some of the better coaches.
I'm enjoying it, believe me, and just thankful that it is very appealing to the listening audience, and the guys and gals out there are learning something from it.
Yes, sir, we are. I mean, I know others have said it, but, anytime Nitrous posts anything on the board, I've always taken note of it, and so listening to him was a great help, and Big Papa as well, learning from y'all that have had the experience, been around a lot longer than me. It gave me some course and some ideas for how to improve my team.
Well, I know you've provided some insight to some of the people out there, even if they're veterans, a little bit of knowledge that they may have not had. So appreciate you being with us today, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, sir.
This is Magic, and you've been listening to This, That, and the Other.